when did you discover that pen testing was actually a real job, that you could do this ethical hacking for a living?
Yeah, it was about 5 years after
Okay.
I discovered the hacking world. So I was in my last year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I had an open elective, and I had never taken a true technology class, but there was a networking systems class
Mm-hmm.
available. And so I thought I would sign up for that and see what it was about. And in that class, I remember one of our first projects, we had a lab environment. So there was a room off to the side with a bunch of desktops.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a task to network them all together and be able to share files and play games together over a LAN connection. The trick was we had to do it on Linux.
Okay.
And none of us were familiar with Linux. We all knew Windows fine, but setting up things like file shares and all of that in Ubuntu was a different exercise. And where a lot of my classmates just kind of decided to blow it off, I took it as a challenge.
Okay.
And I spent an entire weekend installing Ubuntu, looking up guides, trying to understand, like, how does this operating system work? I have never used this before, but it was intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back the next week, and I sort of led the charge in my class. I was like, we're going to network these computers, and this is how we're going to do it. And at that point, I was hooked. But
Yeah.
using the command line to do things instead of pointing and clicking around a GUI, it felt like a different level of freedom than I had had before. And from there, I found Backtrack Linux, what is now known as Kali Linux. I knew as Backtrack.
Yeah.
I think Backtrack 5 or 4 was the
Yeah.
version that I used. And I found that because I was discussing, I think we were talking about Stuxnet in class one day. And my teacher mentioned, he's like, I really admire the people who do this for a living, who like find security issues for a living. And my ears perked up. I was like, wait a second.
Wait, what?
They do what for a living? Right. And it was a perfect storm. Learning about pen testing as a career and getting exposure to Linux, real exposure to Linux, it set me off down a path. And I had acquired these skills, even though they were, again, piecemeal. There were things that I thought I understood well that I definitely did not.
Yeah.
But I started a journey over the next several years of learning more about security in general. So getting certifications like My Security Plus.
Yeah.
And applying that, filling in all of my knowledge gaps to where I was actually confident in learning how to do pen testing, learning how to run port scans, understand what vulnerability scanners are telling me, right? Understand how web applications work, understand how networks work down at the TCP/IP level. I just dove in like I had before. Like I said, obsessive personality. And after that, after about 4 years during college of working IT help desk and then moving on from the help desk to a more security administrator type role, I finally landed an internship with my current company, just trying out pen testing. I knew something about it. They wanted somebody who knew something about it, so we gave it a shot. And the rest is history. Now I've been there for almost 4.5 years.
Nice. That's awesome.